Let me tell you a story. A story that is so old that nobody knows when it was really started. When they started telling this story before time itself.
This show is filmed in front of a live Twitch audience.
Once upon a time, long, very, very long ago, just after humans became humans and started making tools and things, humans got onto the earth and they found iron. But when they found iron, they needed to do something with it. And so one man decided that he needed some skills, a particular set of skills. And so he went to a crossroad and he had heard from a witch that he could conjure up someone who can grant him a wish by following her spell. And so goes to a crossroad. And at this crossroad, he made a simple mistake and summoned the devil himself. And so this man made a deal with the devil to teach him how to forge with the fires of hell iron and metal into tools for his fellow humans. But the devil, being the devil, said, "Sure, my friend, for 10 years of your life, you can be what I call down in hell a blacksmith. And in 10 years, I'll come get your soul. But, but, you also have to forge for me, the devil, well, a new poker, a fork, a thing that I can torture people with. One of the demons downstairs broke mine the other day. I need a new one, so you're gonna have to make me a new one." So, okay. This blacksmith, as he now became known, became the first ever blacksmith on Earth. And he was a smart man. He was much more clever than your average man of the time. And so he tricked the devil. He made for him his little poker fork, and he called upon him to come and fetch it. And as he did, he poured iron onto his feet and cooled it somehow. I don't know. But the devil was then stuck to the floor. And so this blacksmith tricked the devil into giving him back his soul with these amazing skills. And then he also said, "Ah, but if you want out of here, I also want to live forever. Immortality, you know? That's what I want." And, okay, said the devil. "Sure. Your wish is my command. Get me out of here. I've got some people to go torture." And so, this was how the first ever blacksmith came to be. But, you see, through time, this blacksmith, who, according to legend, still roams the earth today, well, he has had many faces and many names because he hides himself in other jobs and in other areas where he can interact with humans and hide the true fact that his face never changes. And he has moved from continent to continent. See, there is this one story in particular, and many of these stories are attributed to other blacksmiths, but that, my friends, is only because he changed his name and he hid his identity. Now, you see, this blacksmith, he was captured at some stage by the king of the Finns. Now, as legend has it, that king cut his hamstrings, but now our friend is immortal, so he can heal at will. He doesn't stay injured forever, but he had to hide his magic powers, and he was quite mad at this king, so, well, again, as legend says, he the sons of this king and then made jewelry and cups and things for the king and queen and gave it to them. They were quite happy with it without ever knowing that that was the skulls of their sons. But then, this blacksmith made the mistake of falling in love before he was captured and he was married. Well, now, from what I hear, this king was not a very nice guy, so he might have, taken the blacksmith's wife's ring off of her finger after he severed it from her hand. And you can say our blacksmith was quite mad at that. So he made himself a pair of iron wings, which are said to have been magical. But no. We all know he's already magical, so this scary, forever living blacksmith just pretended that his hamstrings were cut and that he needed these iron wings to fly away, as legend has it. But no. That's not how he got away. He got away by escaping, Sometimes the truth is much simpler, Occam's razor and all. So, now, our blacksmith was so mad that he needed to take even more revenge, and the Finn king had a daughter. And now, the story told is slightly more horrific than the real story. See, he did give this beautiful princess a lot of wine, and it is said he knows what poppy plants do. Now, I can't say it on here or on YouTube where the story is going, but anyway, he gave her some poppy plants and some wine, and then he seduced her. He had his way with her, and she fell in love. So he ripped out her heart, basically. When our man, the blacksmith, he went out the door. And people thought it was these magical iron wings he made. No. No, he just packed his stuff and walked out with his hamstrings intact. But this was many, many a moon ago. You see, this same blacksmith is credited with another historical piece that he made. And this legend happened back in his hometown when he was still a Viking. And see, Loki, Loki as in Thor's younger brother, well, he tricked our blacksmith into making jewelry and fancy things for the gods. But again, our blacksmith was a little bit smarter and a bit of a trickster himself, because, all legends come from somewhere, and it is said that blacksmith, in general, all of them, are tricksters, magical wizards that forge with fire. And so, getting a little trickster magic of his own in, the blacksmith then forged what we today know as Thor's hammer, or Mjolnir. I hope I said that correctly, but yes, he forged Thor's hammer. But of course, Loki wasn't happy about this, so our blacksmith had to get out of there. So he traveled over to the beautiful land where it's usually raining and a bit gloomy, known as the UK, or United Kingdom, and there he met a wizard. Now, this wizard is very famous. This wizard is known as Merlin. And you might have heard of a little sword called Excalibur. Yeah, the first ever blacksmith, our guy, he forged that. And then he shoved it into a rock, giggling to himself, and he said, well, I made Thor's hammer, so might as well make this thing stuck in there for a couple of 100 years, and a worthy man can pull it out. And so the legend of King Arthur was born. But This was many, many a millennia ago, so you might be wondering, but Katie, where is he now? Well, like I mentioned before, he roams the earth still to this day. And at one point in time, it is said that he traveled over to Newfoundland, or known as the Americas, or today known as the United States of America, and he became a little bit of a detective. And, you know, there was this agency long before the FBI was a thing. I'm not going to mention them, but you can go look them up. And this blacksmith hid himself as a fancy detective, doing his blacksmith work underground. So he was hiding from everybody that he made mad in his past that is still looking for him. He later traveled across the world with many names and many jobs. Nobody knows exactly where he is, but I have it under good authority that once upon a time, he might have been a gamer, just like us. So, my dear friends, that is the story, the true story, which over time has become split into a million pieces. This is the true story of the very first blacksmith. And of course, if one wonders, the devil is still mad, and he just one day said, well, that blacksmith, I don't want him, and he sure as heck ain't gonna get into the gates of heaven, so might as well roam the rest of the earth for the rest of time. There it is, the true story of the very first blacksmith.